Welcome back to the Commanders Declassified podcast. I'm your host tonight, Brian. Eric, what's going on, man? How are you? We missed you.
Yeah, I had a thing and everything exploded on Friday, and I was just, I had a date night with the missus, and
Oh, nice.
that's more important than Eric Bieniemy. I'm sorry to say to my fans or to the fans out there, not my fans. I don't have any of those, but to the Commanders fans, sometimes you got to hang out with the wife, and it was, I wouldn't change a thing. But you guys, you talked a lot, and there's a lot to talk about. So here I am.
Let that be a lesson for everybody. Happy wife, happy life. So absolutely, spend time with the wife and the family. Awesome. Yeah, we missed you. There was a whole bunch that happened, and Ellie, we wish him well. He is at the annual Spam Festival in Waikiki in Hawaii. So when he gets back, he'll tell us all about it. But we wish him well in his competition there. But Eric, what did you think about Bieniemy getting hired here in DC?
It was surprising initially, like when the news broke that he was really, actually he might be interested. And then, right the days after the Super Bowl, it seemed to become more likely because, the dominoes started to fall and other teams just started filling their positions. And really we were the last one left without an offensive coordinator. So if he was going to leave Kansas City, it was pretty apparent that it was going to be here. But still, it was pretty shocking when it actually happened. You're like, wow, they actually swung for the fences and got a hit there. I think it's a home run.
Yeah.
He certainly got the credentials. He's got the credibility. I've been saying, since about week 12 that I'm pretty much out on 2023. This makes me a little bit more in on 2023, but it does push my aloofness back a year because I think that with Bieniemy coming in, it is I don't know how many years he signed for. I think he signed a 2-year deal, but it's
2-year
it's really it's going to be a year with him. I just don't see him being here past this coming season, because if he is successful, he's going to be a head coach. If he is anything less than successful, the coaching regime with the new owner is going to be replaced, and he will most likely be gone with them. So I was reading some things that people were saying about there's a deal in place for Ron to step aside and let Eric take over. I just don't see how you can put that in place when you don't know who's going to be calling the shots in a year. That just doesn't make a lot of sense that would be the case. So I think that he's legit here as the offensive coach. He's got full control over the offense. He's going to get his people in place. He's going to run things the way he thinks they should be run. And we're going to see, what the results are. I look forward to it. I'm excited. I'm more excited at this point because they're going to stick with Howell. So again, I just don't want to see a retread quarterback here, even if it's Bieniemy's guy, because there's not much going on. There's not much out there that's going to be an improvement over the potential of watching Howell. I'd rather watch a young quarterback who's on a rookie deal, try to make it work and learn the crap while he's surrounded by talent. And if he can't do it, he can't do it. But I'm excited for I'm back in on 2023 at least.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. And shout out to Marcus in the chat. We'll definitely be talking about coaches, his Bieniemy staff, and everything here shortly. But yeah, no, I think you're right. This was a great move, and yes, it got me back into the 2023 season because, like you. To me, this was, it was almost like a season of your favorite TV show that has already been canceled, and now you're just kind of like, well, I know this show's not going past here, with a potential reset in regime here happening in 2024. Yeah, I think this is great with Bieniemy, and we are gonna see what he does with the coaches, and especially. This team's got to develop a young quarterback. We've tried the retread vet QB route, and that's just not going to get it done. So I hope that they can develop Hal, and I'm excited to kind of watch that and see how that unfolds. But since these last couple of days since we actually got the news that Eric Bieniemy was hired. There was a lot of excitement about it, and then national media has been very, very harsh on the move, on the hiring. Lots of backlash about it. What's been your kind of take on some of the some of the backlash. Is it warranted? Is it out of left field? Like, what do you think about that?
It's the media being the media, and I hate the media so much. I know there's probably some that listen to us, but it's the classic. You spend years complaining that this guy hasn't gotten his chance.
Yeah.
He's not moving on. He gets maybe not the head coaching gig, but he gets a promotion. And you use that opportunity to crap all over the hire. Like
Exactly.
It's just what you do when you're trying to generate content in a 24-hour news cycle. And you have to be the first one out there. So, the hot takes are going to come, and it's annoying. He didn't, it's not our fault that it's not the team's fault that he hasn't gotten a head coaching job. This team offered him an assistant head coaching job, which is the best he was going to get, clearly, because he's been passed over, I think, 15 times in head coaching interviews.
Yeah,
so, this is a chance for him. So there's, through no fault of his own or the team's, people are just not happy with the move for whatever reason. Some people are mad because he's not a head coach. I mean, he's not a head coach because it's not our fault. We have a head coach in place. We haven't fired Ron Rivera yet. So, we didn't do anything about that. We offered him a chance. So I don't understand why. I don't understand why vitriol would be directed toward our team. But I mean, other than the fact that Dan Snyder owns it and everybody hates him. But I just, and there's some whispers coming out of the woodwork now about, Bieniemy's past. Like, that's not been a thing over the past, several years that he's been interviewing as a head coach. LaShawn McCoy came out today complaining about, or he's been kind of critical of his coaching acumen and what the value of bringing him in is, or what he brought as an offensive coordinator. So there's, just like anything, people are going to have, there's people like us, just talking heads, just sitting here, we're doing our own thing, and we're just kind of talking, and, people are going to say good things and bad things. You got to roll with it and sift through and pick out what you like. There's plenty of evidence on both sides at this point.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. It's one of those things where people just need something to talk about, and inevitably you're going to have people who are going to be negative about it. But I also think that there's definitely a hey, because it's the Commanders, right? Because it's a Dan Snyder owned team still, hopefully for not much longer. That it's just automatically any move is a negative move, especially from the national media perspective. And like you said, nobody else was offering him a job. Nobody else was offering him a head coaching job. And we did offer him essentially a step up, right? Assistant head coach. And this is his own offense. He will be calling plays. He will be designing the offensive philosophy that this team is going to take and employ and use in 2023. While he was a big part of what happened in Kansas City, he was never going to outgrow the shadow of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Any kind of greatness that happened there, they would always get the credit, fairly or unfairly. Unfortunately, that's just how it's gone. And he understood that. And here's something I can respect. He bet on himself to come here to prove to everybody, hey, I can do it. I'm more than what everyone thinks of me. And that you got to be pretty confident to do that, right? Because we've all heard, why would you leave Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City? Great setup. You just won a second Super Bowl. Why would you? Yeah, absolutely. Why would you? And I think that shows you how confident in himself that he is and how much he wants to be a head coach. I'm sure that was a driving factor for him. But I think it's a good move, and I think you're right. People just want to complain and will complain if given the chance. And there have been former players that come out negative, and there's been some positive to come to his defense. But I think out of all the candidates that we could have had, I think this is definitely the best one that we could have gotten for this team.
Yeah, and honestly, this is a dream scenario for Eric Bieniemy. This is exactly what he wants. I mean, other than being a head coach, I mean, he's got a chance to run the entire show because Ron is a defensive head coach. He has a chance to work with quality skill players. He has a chance to develop a young quarterback. And I think the best compliment anybody will be able to pay Eric Bieniemy when he is interviewing for other, if he has success here, is they will say, yeah, but he has Sam Howell. Like, that will be, because nobody's saying that right now, right? But, if he develops him and turns him into a great quarterback or a quality quarterback, I'm sure Bieniemy would be more than happy to let Sam Howell take credit for all of his wins because that means he did a good job with him. So, this is really a good scenario. I just didn't think he'd want to be here because it's, this team. But now that he's here, it is a good situation for him because it's sink or swim now, right? Like
Exactly.
you're giving him exactly what, he needs to succeed. And now it's up to him to do it. We'll see if he can. I think we're going to be I think Ron's going to be happy. It is going to be a very run heavy offense next year. The only person happier than Ron will be Ellie. About, all the carries to go around. But I think, we will see quite a bit of running. That'll be the focal point of the offense for sure. I don't think Ron will have to pull him aside at midseason and tell him to stop throwing.
Yeah, and two, the misconception was that I think there's some people who think that Ron was kind of involved in the offense and kind of telling Scott Turner what to do, and that's not the case. Ron gave Scott Turner all the leeway in the world until things started to get bad and the offense was not moving and the losses started to pile up. Is when he kind of got involved and said, "Hey, run the football more. We're losing here." So Eric Bieniemy will have every last bit of control over this offense to make it however he wants. And I'm excited for that. So today we started to hear more and more about some of these assistant coaches that are leaving from the current offensive staff. And one of the big questions about, whoever the offensive coordinator was going to be was, hey, are they going to be able to hire their own assistants? And with the Bieniemy hire, we kind of found out that, yeah, he is going to get a chance to build out his staff. And we heard Jim Hostler, not to be confused with Hostetler, senior offensive assistant is leaving the team. Drew Terrell, wide receiver coach, is leaving the team. We heard a couple of weeks ago that Chris Harris, the DB coach, I know that's on defense, but he's left the team as well too. So, with some of these hires, what do you think? Do you think it'll be a complete, swap out with all the coaches? Do you think some will stay? Zampese, Matsko? What do you think?
Randy Jordan's not going anywhere. I'd be really surprised. I mean, that dude's Rasputin.
Yeah.
We heard our guy Jay Will last week talk about why. I don't think that's going to change with Bieniemy in charge. It could. But yeah, it's hard to say because, you're at the point in the offseason where most vacancies have been filled at this point. So are the pickings maybe slim for some higher level offensive assistants? So like a quarterback coach may be a little tougher to come by. I think Juan Castillo as tight end coach might have seen his last day. I think, they can maybe find somebody, a way around that. Maybe pluck somebody from the XFL. I'm sure they can, they have some kind of an out where if they get an NFL job, they can go do that over there. I don't even know like what coaches are out there other than, Pat Shurmur.
Who that, and this is not an offensive coach, but I saw him and I couldn't believe he was still around. Greg Williams, I think he's the defensive coordinator for the DC Defenders.
Yeah, the DC Defenders, yeah.
Greg Williams. So,
yeah.
In case we need to fill that DB coach spot, Greg Williams is close by, and he can come down the street to Ashburn again.
Yeah, him and Del Rio, I can't see those two egos anywhere near each other. There's got to be an ego bubble that is a mile wide that it would separate those two. There's no way they could coexist on a staff. I'm calling that right now.
Yeah,
zero chance Greg Williams and Jack Del Rio could exist on the same.
No, I think you're right. I think that would probably end in a fist fight between the two, those two.
It would probably start with a fist fight.
Yeah. No, I think Bieniemy, it was reported, I think Saturday he had interviewed or met with the current offensive assistants. And I think that's why we're starting to see today some of these names leak out of who's leaving and who may potentially be staying. So I'll be interested to see, again, Zampese, who, I think it's been reported that he's got a, pretty decent relationship with Sam Howell, and Matsko, who's been with Ron for a very long time and also is, regarded as a good offensive line coach. Because I think that Bieniemy's scheme probably uses more of that zone run scheme instead of the that kind of gap power scheme that Matsko runs. So we'll see if that changes. But it's good that they're giving him the control to interview and hire whoever he sees fit.
But it's also comes down to a question of like, is there a better offensive line or quarterback coach that's available right now?
Yeah.
So, it's, the end of February. So most of the positions have been filled. Maybe Pat Shurmur can come in as quarterback coach to replace Zampese. But, we'll see how that works out.
No, that is
who knows?
That is a good point that we are extremely late in the hiring cycle, and a lot of guys have already been hired. So yeah, they'll certainly be behind the eight ball and trying to figure out who else is available out there. One of the next topics, Dave in DC is asking us. Free agency that started today. The day or not free agency, franchise tag deadline started today. I think March 7th will be the last day that you can franchise a player. So from today till March 7th, and of course the big name, for the Commanders is Daron Payne. Do you think the team will franchise him, and what would you do?
It's starting to look like they will franchise him. I don't know that I would. I mean, you've already got Jonathan Allen that you're paying a boatload of money to, and you're going to commit that much money to two interior defensive linemen. It's one thing to commit draft capital and draft those guys every year, but now you're at a point where those guys are trying to get paid, and Daron Payne is due a really, really big payday. So I don't know. I think they will franchise tag him. I think, will they trade him, on the franchise tag? Who knows? I think they'll franchise tag him. They'll try to work out a long-term deal. That's what it looks like they're doing. I'm not 100% sure I would, just because, there are a lot of needs on the offensive side of the ball and at linebacker that you could maybe address with some of that money that you're going to pay to Daron Payne. I know Tremaine Edmonds is a free agent, and I would love to see that guy in the burgundy and gold. But
he's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I would commit money there rather than to another defensive tackle. You did draft Fidarian Matthews last year, even though he got hurt. You've got Ridgeway, who really showed out last year, and you could build that around Jonathan Allen. Not that I don't like Payne, I don't want him back. It's just a lot of money to commit to two positions, two guys that basically play the same position. And it's a tough pill to swallow. I won't be mad if they do it, especially if they can, make it work with the cap, if they can get other guys to fill needs. But I'm not sure that would be my strategy going forward. I would make him best offer available, let him test the market, and say goodbye. But I am not running the show up there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And look, we know Daron Payne is an awesome player. He had a phenomenal year. No one's saying that he didn't. But with so many needs on the offensive line, with so many holes at linebacker, I mean, we essentially right now have one linebacker, and that's Jamin Davis. Cole Holcomb's deal has expired. So, he's somebody in free agency we're going to have to make a decision on. Should we sign him back? And he's coming off injury as well. And we still have holes. We need some additional cornerback depth out there, maybe a potential starter, and maybe Kendall Fuller may go into the slot. But there, with so many other holes that we've got to fill, you're right. Giving Daron Payne a huge contract does not seem like maybe the best idea out there. And again, that's not because he isn't good. He's excellent. So yeah, I think you either try to offer him what you can, which I don't know if they can offer him anything right now outside of the franchise tag. My question is to you though, do you think Payne will play on the franchise tag? Because we've seen Payne out there, and his comments have all been money focused, and they should be. These players should get every last dime that they can. Do you think he'll play on the franchise tag? Because I have a feeling he'd press for sitting out.
We'll see. I just looked it up. The franchise tag number for a defensive tackle is $18,937,000 on a 1-year deal. So you could do worse than that.
That's true.
Does he hold out for a long-term deal? Do they transition tag him, which is about $16 million, it looks like, and try to trade him? I don't know. I know I'm not turning down $18 million, but I'm not in a position to make more than that either. If somebody offers me $18 million today, I'm taking it because I have no better options. He may. So we'll see. That'll be a game of cat and mouse. You can always, franchise tag him and then continue to negotiate all the way up until training camp, or just before training camp, something like that. So you can still get a deal done. But it's just. And there's one other thing to bring up about Daron Payne. And I don't like talking about this because I do like Daron Payne, but there is
Yeah.
a little red flag with Daron Payne's play. And that is that players that ball out in their contract year the way he did scare me just a little bit.
Yeah.
He's always been good. He's always had moments of dominance, but he was inconsistent until last year when it was time to get paid.
Yeah.
And he stepped up. Unlike Jonathan Allen, who played his best football after they paid him.
Yeah.
Are we going to see that level of dominance from Daron Payne after he's paid? I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no, but it is something to think about because his most dominant year happened to be the year where it's time to get paid. And that always makes me just kind of pay a little bit extra attention. I'd rather have somebody else find out if he's going to be that dude than us. But I mean, as far as playing on the franchise tag, I mean, like I said, we'll see if holdout. He does seem very interested in getting paid. So that will definitely be something to watch.
No, I think you're right. Shout out Dave in DC. He's definitely a Payne, keep Payne guy. But yeah, I think you're exactly spot on about the way he performed in the contract year versus the years leading up to it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he plays on the tag because he's been so motivated. Every comments that he's had have all been about getting paid and not not taking anything less than that. So it'll be interesting to see if he does actually just that. Let's say Payne isn't the guy that we franchise tag. Would there be anybody else that we actually use the franchise tag on? Or just
who? I can't. Who's a free agent that, I mean, there's guys that are going to be cap casualties that, are pricey, but I mean, outside of, John Bostic and Cole Holcomb,
you don't want to use it on Turner?
No, or one of the four centers that are free agents. I'm good. Yeah. I don't see us using the free agent tag. I mean, Daron Payne is the only candidate in my book. I can tell you though that if you're paying Payne this year, you're not paying Montez Sweat next year. You can't.
Yeah.
He's going into it. He's going into his option year. So. Yeah, I mean you're saying goodbye to an edge rusher if you're paying two defensive tackles. Jonathan Allen, his cap number isn't horrible.
It's not at all.
Moving forward, he does have. I'm just trying to take a look at what his dead cap would be. If you decide to move on if you decide to move on from Jonathan Allen, let's say after next year and re-sign Sweat, Jonathan Allen would have a dead cap hit next year of $12 million. Which is high, but it's not like, miserable. And if you do the June 1st thing, it's, 6 million and 6 million. But yeah, you're not keeping all those guys together, that defensive line together. When you invest that many first round picks, that many years in a row, you just have to plan on losing somebody. I thought the plan was to lose Daron Payne because you drafted, you paid Allen and you drafted Mathis last year, but who knows?
Yeah, no, I think, Ron's a pretty kind of simple guy. And I think he, illustrated his plan very, very much so when he drafted Phidarian Mathis in the second round. I don't think they thought Payne was going to have the year that he did. So I think Payne had having the year that he did probably threw a little bit of a wrench into their plans. But we'll see what they do now. I know we've got some people in the chat who want the transition tag on Payne, which I think the transition tag will give you the ability to, for other teams to negotiate with him. And if they do come to an agreement, you'd be able to get, like a first round pick or some draft picks out of that situation. So it'll be interesting to see which tag the team actually uses. I think here's another one, Stefan. Cam Curl. Cam Curl's got one more year on his deal.
Yeah, he's still got an extension. Yep.
Yeah. So if they do it now, it'd be an extension. That'd be great because if they do it now, it'll be that much cheaper come next year. We don't. This team likes to wait till the last minute, and usually when you wait till the last minute and doing some of these deals, they get a lot more expensive. So. We definitely don't want to do that, but with the ownership change, we'll see how that works out. I see some other guys as well. David DC, draft an edge. Yes, this is something I've been talking about for probably the last 2 years now. Is draft more edge rushers. We have Chase Young, Montez Sweat, and then we don't have anything behind them. Casey Toohill, James Smith-Williams are nice people. They do not scare NFL offenses at all. NFL offenses probably laugh at us when we send out Casey Toohill and James Smith-Williams.
That's so mean.
Yeah, it's so mean, but unfortunately, it's so true. Like, we need legitimate pass rushers. We need to use situational pass rushers out there. And
I can see a situational edge rusher, maybe in free agency. I can see that. I don't know, or a draft if you can find that guy who's ready to be that guy right away.
Yeah.
But you have two high end starters. You generally don't want to back those guys up with another like potential Pro Bowl player in general. But I get what you're saying. I think a situational edge rusher, somebody. I mean, kind of Obata was that role last year for them, and he did okay. Toohill did okay. James Smith-Williams did okay. They did, I thought Smith-Williams was actually pretty good last year. Definitely more of an edge setter than a rusher, but you need those guys in your defense as well. Hopefully Chase bounces back. He's under contract for 2 more years. You've got Sweat under contract this year. Maybe work out an extension with him.
Yeah,
it's just going to be hard to keep all those guys together. So I'm not opposed to drafting an edge rusher at all. Somebody to develop behind those guys. I don't know that you need high draft capital into an edge rusher when you've got 2 high draft guys already under contract. But
there's certainly guys in the mid rounds and even some in the late rounds who have the ability to rush the passer now, but they're not stout against the run, right? They may need to put on some more weight. They may need to get stronger. And that's where that kind of situational rusher would come in, because let's say you do move on from Payne, and Mathis may be great against the run, but he's not going to be a pass rusher. So you take Mathis off the field, you reduce Sweat down inside, and then you bring another pass rusher on. So now essentially you've got 3 edge rushers out there against bigger, slower offensive linemen, and you kind of create that advantage on there. So before we move on, I think we've got one of the guys asking us about the guy from Georgia, Nolan. I mean, that's another kind of situational edge rusher type of guy that he would certainly fit. Would this staff use him? They're pretty rigid in how they go about. They just want their front 4 guys to get the pressure. They don't like blitzing. They use it as a last resort. And they don't kind of rotate these guys. So I like them. I wish Del Rio and I wish Rivera would get a little bit more creative in some of those rushes and things like that. But this is unfortunately they're very rigid, and they just like those front 4 guys. Anything else free agency wise? Because this would be the period where Bieniemy, you kind of see the Bieniemy effect. Where do you think they would target first in free agency when we get there? Is it going to be offensive line? I've heard a lot more talk now since Bieniemy has gotten hired about tight end. Everybody wants to draft a tight end, but is there anybody in free agency that you think, or that you like, or that you think the team may target?
I've been working on my mock draft for like months, and there's a tight end in the draft that I really like, and I don't want to spoil that if I ever actually get my draft published correctly. But Austin Hooper's out there. I think Evan Ingram is a free agent this year. Those are guys that maybe fit that mold. Pulling this up. Oh, Dalton Schultz from Dallas. I would absolutely pilfer Dalton Schultz from Dallas as a tight end. And I think if Bieniemy likes to use tight ends the way that Andy Reid does, that might be a good fit. But that also you're looking at pricey. Offensive line wise, that's the number one position and tight end's kind of an extension of that. But the number one position you need to upgrade is offensive line. And I think the free agent class and offensive line I don't love. We're a little old. And I think there's some quality in the draft that we really want to look at, and there's quality players like Chris Paul that everybody seems to love, that may be ready to step into a starting role this year. We'll see. I don't know what he is, but if you can find a tackle.
Yeah, I don't understand the Chris Paul. Like I've seen local media talk about Chris Paul like if this was Trey Johnson. Like, I don't understand. I watched him in that last game. Like, I didn't see it. I mean, I didn't see the aggressiveness, the nastiness, the ability to finish blocks. Like guys who have quick first step beat him off the snap. I don't even know how that's, he knows the snap count, but they were beating him off the snap in a couple of instances. He's certainly strong if he catches you square, like he can drive you. But I didn't see it. Like, to me, it's Sadiq 2.0, like a guy who a guy who looks like he should be the starter, but just never ends up actually being the starter. So, yeah, you're right. There are a lot of guys in the draft. I want to draft them all, in the first 3 rounds. I know we've got other needs, but
do we though? Is there a bigger need than like 3 spots on the offensive line? Because I don't think there is.
No, you're right.
We can get by at every other position with what we have, but the offensive line is just really, really needs to be filled. I'm just looking at free agent offensive linemen right now. Trey Turner's out there, so that's an option.
Yeah. No, if we sign him back, then I can. Yeah, I'm going to turn off the TV at that point. Yeah. There's no reason to watch.
There's just a lot of guys like Wes Schweitzer. They probably I would think they try to bring Wes Schweitzer back because he's serviceable as long as he's healthy. Will Hernandez is a guy that I've always kind of liked. I don't think he's ever. It might just be, I wanted to draft him a couple of years ago when the Giants took him, and it may just be that I haven't gotten over the fact that we didn't draft him because I don't think he's really panned out throughout the league. I know he was a starter in New York. He was with Arizona. So yeah, I'm just not in love with the free agent class.
I'm going to give I'll give you 2 names, 2 guards that I think are good players and I think would kind of fit the Bieniemy system because they're versatile. They can do, kind of the zone run scheme, or they're big enough that they can do, kind of the gap scheme as well. Offensive guard Ben Powers, he is currently on the Ravens, or he will be a free agent. He's another guy, excellent run blocker, solid in pass blocking, not the best, but somebody who shouldn't command too much money. So, a reasonable target, but certainly a starter. And then also another guard, Dalton Risner. He's been on the Broncos the last couple of years. Again, another guy, kind of versatile in terms of scheme, but nasty, aggressive demeanor, and somebody again who can come in and start right away for us and brings legitimate, starting ability, and also shouldn't break the bank in terms of free agency. Sure, you may have to pay him more because we want to get him to Washington, but I think those are 2 guys in free agency that we can get. And Eric, we were talking about tight ends. Tell me about this guy, if you think this guy. Tight end Foster Moreau. I know he's played for a couple of teams, but he's always seemed to be like healthy, and he's not a star by any means, but just a healthy guy who can run and who can block. Nothing flashy, but he always seems to be available.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 10 guys just like him that you can probably sign to. So, I mean, I wouldn't be, I can't tell him apart from, Austin Hooper or Kyle Rudolph or Irv Smith. Like, these guys are all, Rudolph was much better when he was younger, but like they're kind of all interchangeable right now. If you're really looking for somebody who can make an impact at the tight end position, I don't think that's where you want to go. Like I said, I really like Dalton Schultz a lot. Even though he is with Dallas, he's been productive. That's who I would look at if I'm targeting a tight end in the offseason. Free agency, that's who I would. Mike Gesicki's out there, it looks like.
He's going to cost some money.
Yeah, and he's like a one-game one, like not a one-game wonder. He's very inconsistent. He's very like Hulk 1 week, Bruce Banner for the next 3.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I'm not a huge Mike Gesicki guy, mainly because I had him in fantasy. Evan Engram, he played well. I think Jacksonville probably brings him back, but you may give him a look. He's had some spotty issues with his hands, but I think he was pretty solid last year. He looked great against us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not excited about free agency this year because I actually like the team that we have in place for the most part.
Yeah.
So the free agents that I'm looking at is like a backup quarterback, and bringing back like a Wes Schweitzer to play that, he can play all 3 positions on the interior line. Those are the guys that I'm kind of looking at in free agency. And like I said, those 2 tight ends maybe, but I'm not a big. Oh, and of course Tremaine Edmonds. I want that guy to come on our team very much so, but very little chance that happens.
Yeah, well, let's touch on backup quarterback in free agency in a second. I'll give you two other linebackers. You're right. If I had my choice, I would take Tremaine Edmonds too, but I think it's going to take a big free agent contract to get him, and I don't know. I don't know if we'll be able to offer that this offseason. But I got two other linebacker options here in free agency that won't be as expensive, but I think are solid players, and that's what we need at linebacker right now. We need guys who are vets who understand what they're doing. Linebacker David Long, he's out of West Virginia a couple of years ago, been with the Titans. He's really kind of coming into his own. And then linebacker off of the Bengals, Jermaine Pratt. I know he's had maybe some issues in terms of coverage and things like that, but those are two vets, two guys who understand what they need to do in the run game, and I think they would just fill a big need in terms of our linebacking core. Any kind of thoughts on those guys?
I wouldn't hate him. I'll give you another one though, Deion Jones.
Yes.
He was injured a good portion of last year. He'd probably be a little pricey as well, but I like him. I liked him a lot when he was healthy, at least.
Yeah, he's very good. Now Cleveland traded like a 6th-round pick for him last year, and I wanted him. I wanted us to trade for him because the guy's only like 28 years old.
Exactly. I like him, and I think he's available. So he would be a fine consolation prize if you can't get Tremaine. Yeah. But I just. I'm curious to see what they do at linebacker. Anything is better than what we had last year. No offense to David Mayo, and it's not their fault that the guys in front of them couldn't stay healthy, but we just have to get more depth at the linebacker position and a young, healthy starter. And so there's some of those guys like Devin Bush is out there too. He would also, he'd be pricey, I think, because he's Pittsburgh, right?
He was, I think. Yeah, he was on Pittsburgh. I think he got moved somewhere else, but I think he's been a little bit of a letdown from. He was a former 1st-round pick, but
very athletic. That was his thing. Really good athlete, but he hasn't. So maybe the price tag will be right on him. Yeah. So there's some guys out there at the linebacker position. I just don't know. Last year they had no interest in addressing it, so I'm not confident they'll do that this year. Yeah. But that's a position I would like to see addressed in free agency.
Yeah. All right. Free agency. Ron's already said it. Everyone said it. We're going to find some veteran quarterback to push Howell, to help him develop, compete with him, pick whichever one you want. Who do you think free agency will get for quarterback?
I still think Teddy Bridgewater makes the most sense as long as he plays. I'm not sure if he's going to retire or not. He hasn't really announced anything. Yeah, that makes the most sense to me just because he's been a guy who is okay with being a backup or will accept a backup role, but he can also start if he has to. If Sam doesn't work out, if Sam gets injured, Teddy Bridgewater has the experience to come in and play. That's who I would look at first. I know it's not the sexy pick, but it's just a quality pick. He's played in a ton of different systems. He can pick it up, and he's just a guy. I've always liked him throughout his career. He's never going to be a superstar, but he's a quality guy that you could have on your bench. I'm not interested in bringing back Taylor Heineke. I think he'll get a better offer with the Raiders. But I'm not interested just because it's a distraction at this point. You know what he is, and he's fun to watch, and I will always cheer for him no matter where he goes. But I'm over the Taylor Heineke experience here, and I still think he follows Scott Turner to Vegas. And then another guy I might look at would be Jarrett Stidham. He's a free agent. I don't know if he's re-signing with if they bring in Taylor. I don't think he resigns with Las Vegas. He did play well in his small role. He's never played outside of that system though, which is maybe a red flag. But he's a relatively young player who can come in and play for you if he has to. And I'm an Auburn guy, so I gravitate toward Auburn quarterbacks anyway.
War Eagle, one of my good friends, went to Auburn. I think that the guy I've been talking about mostly has been Jacoby Brissett. He's a guy who started before. He's been in multiple offenses, and he's a competent high level backup. He's a low end starter type of guy, and he's been the backup. He's been the starter. I think he can handle that role, right? Of being the backup, of first coming in trying to push Hal, and then if he loses and has to be the backup, I think he'll be just fine doing that. Another guy that I thought about is Baker Mayfield, another guy who wants to be a starter, but he's once he got shipped out of Cleveland, I think he's been relatively quiet. I don't think he's caused too many issues or anything like that. He may have a chance to start with some of maybe like a Saints or one of these other teams who is looking for a vet or something like that, but. I think he may be another possibility, but I like Jacoby Brissett as that kind of mentor to him.
Yeah, Brissett and Teddy Bridgewater are basically the same guy at this point. Brissett's probably got a little more mobility, and I think Bridgewater is a little bit more accurate of a passer, but I think they're pretty much interchangeable. I was surprised to look; they're both actually the same age. Like I don't know why I think Bridgewater seems like he's 100 years old, but he's only 30, and Brissett's also 30.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure about Baker. I don't think Baker's ready to be a backup yet. I think I think the only team Baker would accept a backup role with is the Rams if they kept him around to back up Matthew Stafford. I think he's still looking to be a starter, and which is funny. He's pretty much the closest pro comp to Sam Howell that everybody's been saying too.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's ready to come here and accept a backup role. He might if he had to, but I think he's definitely still interested in being a starter. But yeah, Brissett or Bridgewater. Like I said, they're pretty much interchangeable, and I'd be fine with either of them.
Yeah, no, I agree on that. The last guy in free agency is, I think we should really draft a corner, but I thought, is there a corner in free agency? And I was thinking Byron Murphy is a predominantly zone corner, right? Like we're not going to do the William Jackson thing of getting a man corner and forcing him to play zone and then complaining about it when he doesn't do well. So Byron Murphy, mostly zone corner, better at that than he is man. I think would be a decent. He shouldn't break the bank. Should be a decent guy to add some more depth in the secondary. I don't know if you had any thoughts on him, or if maybe there was somebody else you thought at cornerback in free agency.
Yeah, Murphy is actually one of the guys that I liked as well. Rocky Sin's another guy. With the Raiders. He's another one. I love the name mainly, but he's another zone type player. He'll actually come up and hit you. So I'm okay. I'd be okay there as well. There's a really deep draft for defensive backs, and there's a couple that I like that when I do my mock, if I ever get it out, are going to make people upset because they're not going to be the guys you want. But I think scheme fit. But I think scheme fit is very important. So those guys certainly fit the scheme, and that's okay.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I like how you tease the mock draft there. I'm ready now to hear
this. Gives me incentive to get it done. I keep video editing is not my strong suit, and you'll know why when you finally see this thing.
No worries. I'm sure it will be awesome on that. So we got free agency there. What do you think happens now? Are there any other moves or things that the team should be doing now? Hey, we've got Bieniemy down. Like for me, if I'm Sam Howell, I would be calling Eric Bieniemy's phone every 5 minutes. When are you going to send me that playbook? Hey, can you email me the playbook? Can you send it to me? Can you come by my house? Where do you live? What's your address? I want to come over there. I want to learn this playbook. What do you think should be happening right now with Sam or some of these offensive players here, or the team and some of the moves they should be making?
I think 100% focus should be on the sale at this point. Yeah. We just need that to end so we can have some kind of clarity on what's going on. Because I think contract extensions are going to be a big hang up on that. Obviously the Daron Payne thing.
Yeah.
But guys like was mentioned before, Cam Curl, Montez Sweat, those guys are looking for extensions. That's not going to happen, I don't think, until the sale of the team is taken care of. This is definitely combine season. It's kind of the down season for team business, and it'll ramp back up in March when free agency kicks in and the owners' meetings happen, and then you got your mini camps heading into April and May. So this is definitely sort of a slow season for what the team should be doing. I'm kind of moving into mock draft mode myself. Look, I can't wait for the combine to start, and I'm looking forward to, basically enjoying just the evaluation process to see how wrong I am when the season starts. I always look, that process starts now, so I need to make sure that my bad takes are on point in the coming weeks. And I think the team should be doing that as well. Hopefully their takes will be better than mine since they're the ones that matter. But I think that, sale of the team and focusing on talent evaluation should be the number one focus of everybody in the organization right now.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. We need this black cloud that's been hanging over the franchise to be gone. And that I'm referring to is Dan Snyder. The team needs to be sold. That needs to get done. It needs to happen. It was reported, so 2 weeks ago, Josh Harris, one of the prospective bidders, he toured the Ashburn facility, but we got word this weekend that another prospective buyer, we did not get a name, did tour the facility, which potentially he would have run into Eric Bieniemy while he was there this weekend, interviewing and signing and talking with team officials and anything like that. Ellie brought up a good theory. I like my tinfoil theories.
Yeah, I was going to say, should I get my hat? Hang on.
Yeah, get the tinfoil. Get the tinfoil hat. Everybody put your tinfoil hat on. I want to bring up Ellie's theory because I thought it was really good. With the timing of that prospective buyer who happened to come through there. And we got the other news with Sean Payton saying that other teams have reached out to him about coaching, which obviously he's gone on to the Broncos. Do you think it's possible that with Bieniemy being signed, Snyder using his plane to fly Jason Wright in to help do the interview and stuff like that, that may be one of the potential buyers probably wanted Eric Bieniemy on staff, maybe for some future preparation of their plans when the team's bought. Do you think there's any kind of theory or thought to that?
Only if it was Bezos, because the rest of those guys are pulling change out of their couch cushions to come up with the money that's needed. I mean, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
The only one that's capable of just like throwing that down that we know of is Jeff Bezos. So if it was him, I'll buy that. Other than that, no, I don't think that a potential owner had any say in the coaching hire at this point. It's too we don't know enough about who's going to buy the team unless there's some information that hasn't leaked out yet that we don't know that there's a strong buyer that's not named Bezos that's willing to buy the team. I don't think that would be the case.
Yeah.
I did think it was weird though that Snyder flew Jason Wright back.
Yeah,
and that's a little weird because if I was selling a team, I'd make him fly coach. I'm like, just buy your own ticket, dude.
Right.
Put it on Spirit or something.
And that was kind of the point Ellie made, right? Because we've seen Snyder withdrawn from, really, probably the last half of the season, right? He wasn't at the Sonny Jurgensen jersey retirement or the Major Tuddy unveiling or anything like that. And we haven't kind of seen him or any press releases about anything here lately. But then to kind of offer up your plane or to be involved that way did seem a little odd. So as long as the team gets sold, just hurry up and get this thing sold.
Thinking through a little more, there's no way it was Bezos if Snyder was that excited to bring Jason Wright back. There's no way it was Jeff Bezos because he still owns the Washington Post, so it wasn't him. I don't know what's going on there. I can't imagine that they would have somebody that doesn't own the team influence a decision at this point, unless they were a surefire bet to get the team, and I don't think anybody is.
Oh, that's very true. That's a good point. Let me ask you, you mentioned something here, and I keep hearing the same, local media reports that the Dan Snyder would never sell to Bezos. Now, the only thing that I know about Dan Snyder is he cares about dollars and cents more than he cares about ethics and integrity and any of those things. If we remember early on in his tenure, didn't Dan Snyder sue like a little old lady over season tickets, unpaid season tickets or parking or pass or something like that? You mean to tell me that guy is not going to accept $7 billion from Bezos because of what? Some kind of, moral high ground that he's going to stand on. It just seems so odd that story kind of is out there. And it's like, this guy is all about money. He would, ruin other people for money. So that's it you know, it always seemed weird to me, that whole premise that he would not sell to him. I'm like, if that guy's going to give you the most money, why wouldn't you?
Well, I think there's one thing that he does like more than money, and that's being petty. And I think
Good point.
The ultimate petty move is to turn down more money from a guy you hate. I mean, this is the dude that poured, which I still love, by the way, that poured milk in the learner's luxury box. So that is the greatest thing ever, and I'm so happy that my owner did that. I'm good on Dan for that.
Yeah.
No, that's so funny. So no, I would not put that past, because as much as he wants to make money, I think his ego may be larger than his appetite for the most money. However, you know, a lot of people are kind of there's a lot of word that Bezos is putting the Washington Post up for sale. So sure, I don't know. I still think he's the most likely buyer. That might just be, you know, I don't know if Jay-Z is still involved. I would hope he is, because that would be even more awesome.
Yeah.
We can bring Rockefeller and Illuminati in and just make all those things part of the Commanders franchise. That would be amazing. But I don't think that I forgot what I was even saying. Sorry, I was thinking about Jay-Z lyrics all of a sudden. But anyway, no, I think Jay-Z is the most Bezos is the most likely buyer still. I think he is willing to sell the Washington Post because it's a newspaper and it's 2023. And it just makes sense that he would be the guy that everybody wants in, because he's been wanting in for a while and the owners want him in. He's the biggest wallet. He'll get us the best stadium. So that's who I'm rooting for. I hope he's our guy. And if one of those other guys gets it, I just hope they know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, agreed. I think that is still a very likely scenario. I would imagine after this next round of bids are finalized or done, you may hear something about him now finally jumping into it. But I just thought that was interesting. I can't imagine Dan is so money focused that he'd pass up a chance to get the best offer from him on there. Well, we had one from Bradley here about Eric Bieniemy bringing in another QB coach and passing game coordinator. That's absolutely possible right now. I mean, we've got a couple of openings on the offensive staff, so he is going to be bringing in guys. Will their title be QB coach, passing game coordinator? I'm certain that he will rearrange some of those titles. We'll see if Zampese stays, if Matsko stays. Tight end coach Juan Castillo, who I think probably should go. I don't think that the tight ends improved. I think they regressed severely without Pete Hainer. So we'll see who gets to stay and who goes here. But
Pat Shurmur, he's going to be here one way or another.
You heard it.
Passing game. Zampese's your quarterback coach. Shurmur's your passing game coordinator. Why the heck not?
And to be honest with you, that wouldn't be bad at all. You get a former head coach, somebody who's well versed in offensive football. Like I think,
especially if what Shady said about EB in the running game and his lack of involvement in the passing game. Why wouldn't he bring in a passing game coordinator?
That's exactly right. I like that. You heard it here first from Eric.
Pat Shurmur, that's your passing game coordinator. Calling it now.
There you go.
Don't at me, because I won't read it, because I don't get on Twitter. So go ahead and at me. Go ahead and at me. I don't care. Is it adding on Twitter? Is that what it is?
Adding? No, it's at. Yeah.
Don't at me?
Yeah.
That's a Twitter thing, right?
That's it.
I'm so old. Okay.
That damn technology.
Yeah.
It's on there. With that, so that's the latest on the sale. I think the next thing after this will be the draft, and we'll have all of our draft specials coming up where we talk about who we want. We'll be doing some mock drafts live. We'll be doing all kinds of those things. And like Eric said, he'll have his mock draft out here soon. Any other thoughts that you've got on Eric Bieniemy, on the offense, on Sam Howell? All the players too. A lot of the players on their social media when Eric Bieniemy were signed, and I'm talking about Commanders players, were all very excited. I know Jahan Dotson put out some tweets. I think Brian Robinson on his Instagram. They were all excited about it, and I think his demanding coaching style will fit in. I mean, we've got guys who want to work. Brian Robinson. Like, I don't know if people know this, but Nick Saban he's a little demanding. He's a little aggressive. He doesn't settle for anything less than your best. So a lot of these guys have experienced hard coaching and know how to do it and like it and perform under it. So I think this will really, really help us.
Yeah, and you generally, when you replace a coach, you replace him with the opposite of what he was.
That's a
And I
good
think
point.
Scott was a little bit laid back. So if a hard coach like Bieniemy might be the trick if that's his coaching style. By the way, I got to redo my mock draft because I just thought of a joke that I have to put in. I can't leave it out. So I will re-record that and make sure the joke is in there and get that out as soon as possible. That's it. It's a true story. I literally just thought of a joke in my head when you said something, and I was like, man, I got to put that in the mock. Dang it, Brian.
Hey, everybody listening, you see that Eric puts the time into his mock draft. We're going on 2 months now, and he's got jokes in there. It's gonna be it's gonna be something. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you.
It's not even that good of a joke, but it has to be said. That's the worst part. It's not even like you're not even gonna laugh, but it has to be said because you can't not say it once it's in there.
Well, you set yourself up now. It's got to be good now because everyone's going to be looking for it, and they're going to at you. You already told them that.
Dave Chappelle.
If you haven't already, please subscribe to whatever audio podcast you listen to, Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, wherever. If you can leave us a 5-star review, please do. It's free. It takes a second to do. It helps the podcast grow, and it helps other Commanders fans find us. Go to our website, commanders247.com. We've got cool articles. Eric's soon-to-be mock draft will be up there. We just interviewed Jonathan Williams, Commanders running back. He gave us some insights about Sam Howell, about John Matsko, about Coach Rivera, Randy Jordan, Jennifer King, lots and lots of people. Go check that out. And check out our YouTube page where you can see our lovely faces on there as well and hear us talk about the team. Subscribe, hit notifications so you can get updates whenever we put out new content. We appreciate y'all. We just went over. Oh, how did I forget this? And how did you let me forget this, Eric? We just went over.
I was gonna say, you were on a roll there. I didn't want to interrupt, but I was about to say it. Yeah,
I know. I just
hit 1,000 subscribers.
So thank you to everybody who has supported us, continues to support us. We just went over 1,000 on YouTube, and that was awesome. That was pretty cool to see that. So we appreciate you guys. We thank you. Keep listening because we've got some awesome stuff planned here for the off season. Some more interviews, some other cool things that we've got coming up, and we will catch you next time.